You are only as strong as your spine. Let me say that again. Your spine is the foundation of every movement, every breath, and every moment of strength in your body. Yet most people are walking around with spines that are ticking time bombs, tight hips, weak cores, poor posture, back pain. That's one wrong move away from disaster. But what if I told you that a solution exists, one that's not based on guesswork or gimmicks, but hard science? This is the McGill Method. And today I'll show you how to build a spine that's not just pain-free, but powerfully resilient. No fluff, no hacks, just what works. Let's get into it. Pain is not the enemy. In fact, pain is your most loyal signal caller, your body's intelligent alarm system. It doesn't show up to ruin your life. It shows up to protect it. Think about that. When you put your hand on a hot stove, pain doesn't wait 10 minutes. It hits you instantly, forcing you to react, because the body is designed to avoid harm before serious damage happens. The same is true for back pain, but here's the twist most people miss. Pain is the alarm, not the fire. Imagine you wake up one morning, roll out of bed, and feel a dull ache in your lower back. You stretch it, twist a little, maybe crack it side to side, and for a few minutes it feels better. Then you sit down at your desk for 8 hours, hunched over your laptop, scrolling through emails, unaware that your spine is being compressed, your hips are locked, and your core is asleep. That dull ache grows into a sharp jab by evening. You pop an ibuprofen, maybe slap on a heat pack, and go to bed thinking it'll sort itself out. But here's the truth. What you felt that morning was the alarm. Your body was trying to whisper, something isn't right. But you didn't remove the cause, you muted the signal. And every day you repeat this cycle, you're fanning the flames of a problem that hasn't fully ignited yet. Let me give you a daily life analogy. Say you have a smoke detector in your house, and every day around 7 a.m., it starts beeping, not loudly, just a soft, persistent chirp. You think it's probably the battery, so you pull it out or cover it with a towel just to get some peace. Weeks go by, and one morning you smell actual smoke. You didn't fix the source, you trained yourself to ignore the warning. And now the fire is real. This is how most people treat back pain. Instead of asking, what is causing this? They ask, how can I shut it off? But Dr. Stuart McGill's method teaches the opposite. His approach isn't about silencing pain. It's about listening to it, understanding what movements or postures are provoking it, and then systematically removing those triggers. Let's bring this into the real world. Say you're a parent, you're constantly lifting your toddler, reaching into the back seat to grab toys, or bending over the crib. These aren't gym exercises, but they're physical movements that require spinal stability. Now, if you've got poor movement habits and you twist through your spine instead of your hips, pain will eventually knock. If you ignore it, you might throw your back out picking up a sock. But if you learn to pay attention to the alarm, if you ask yourself, why did that movement hurt? Was I slouched? Did I brace my core? Then pain becomes your coach, not your curse. That's the McGill Method's genius. It teaches you to trace the source, not treat the symptom. It invites you to be curious, not careless. And it gives you the tools to build a body that no longer has to scream to be heard. Back pain doesn't mean you're broken. It means your body is still trying to communicate with you. It's giving you a second chance before the fire spreads. Listen to the alarm, remove the cause, rebuild with intention. That's how you win. That's how you stay in the game, not just for the next week, but for the rest of your life. You wouldn't stretch a steel cable and expect it to become stronger. Yet that's exactly how most people treat their spines. They bend it, twist it, hang upside down, do toe touches first thing in the morning, and call it healthy. But the truth is this, your spine was never meant to be stretched like chewing gum. It was designed for stability, to be strong and stiff in the right places, while the hips and shoulders provide the motion. That's how elite athletes move. That's how pain-free people live. And that's what the McGill Method teaches, how to stop abusing your spine with the wrong kind of movement and start protecting it like your most valuable asset. Let's paint a picture from daily life. Imagine someone wakes up every morning with stiffness in their lower back. Maybe they roll out of bed and start doing forward bends, thinking they're loosening it up. They feel a slight stretch, maybe a few pops, and think they've done something good for themselves. But fast forward 2 hours, they're walking around with more discomfort than before. So they stretch more bending, more twisting. What they don't realize is they're stretching the very tissues that are crying out for protection. They're pulling on the ligaments and discs that need support, not length. Now zoom in on the anatomy. Your spine is made of vertebrae stacked on top of one another, cushioned by discs that absorb shock. Those discs don't regenerate easily. They're like tires once worn down. They don't bounce back. So when you constantly flex and twist the spine, you're slowly degrading the structures meant to last a lifetime. That 30-second stretch you do every day, it could be compressing and damaging the exact discs that are supposed to keep you upright and pain-free. Here's a real-world example you can't ignore. Think about how a construction crane works. The boom, the long arm that moves heavy loads, is held in place by a strong base. If that base is loose, the entire crane is unstable. You don't make the crane safer by allowing the base to sway. You make it safer by locking it down. Your spine is the same. The moment you compromise its stability to feel a stretch, you invite danger into your daily movements. Now apply this to everyday activities. You reach into your car to grab a grocery bag. You tie your shoes. You lean over the sink to brush your teeth. These seem harmless, right? But if you're flexing your spine every time you do them, because your core isn't engaged, your hips aren't mobile, or you're relying on old habits, you're putting small amounts of strain on the spine over and over. These micro traumas add up. One day it's a tweak, another day you can't stand up straight. And you wonder, what happened? The answer: you stretched what should have been protected. The McGill Method flips this entire mindset. It teaches you to move from the hips and shoulders while keeping the spine in what's called a neutral position, that strong, braced, locked-in alignment that allows you to move powerfully and safely. It shows you that the key to spinal health isn't to make your back more flexible, it's to make it stable and resilient under load. That's not just athletic wisdom, it's life wisdom. So the next time you feel tempted to stretch out your back by folding forward or twisting violently, pause and think, am I training my spine to be weaker or more stable? Because long-term strength doesn't come from how far you can bend. It comes from how well you can resist unnecessary movement. And in a world where most people are falling apart from poor habits and misguided stretching routines, choosing stability is an act of strength, discipline, and self-respect. When it comes to building a strong, pain-resistant back, people often think they need complicated gym routines, expensive equipment, or hours of exercise every day. But the truth couldn't be simpler or more powerful. In fact, the foundation of spinal resilience comes down to just 3 movements. That's it. 3 deliberate, science-backed exercises known as the McGill Big 3. And when performed with intention and consistency, these movements act like daily armor for your spine. Not just during workouts, but during every step you take, every chair you sit in, and every awkward twist you make reaching into the backseat of your car. These aren't just exercises, they're daily investments in your long-term freedom from pain. Let's start with a familiar situation. Think of someone who works a desk job, hunched over for 8 hours a day, then goes home and slouches on the couch scrolling through their phone. The next morning they wake up with stiffness, a sore back, and no idea why. They might stretch, they might pop painkillers, or worse, they might do nothing, hoping it goes away. But the cycle continues, and before long, a once occasional ache becomes a daily companion. What they're missing is the understanding that the spine doesn't just need relief, it needs reinforcement. And that's exactly what the McGill Big 3 deliver. The first movement, the McGill curl-up, looks deceptively simple. You lie on your back, one leg bent, one leg straight, hands under your lower back to preserve its natural curve. Then you lift your head, neck, and shoulders just slightly, engaging your core without bending the spine. What you're doing here isn't just working the abs, you're teaching your body to fire the deep core muscles without compromising spinal stability. You're practicing control, precision, discipline. You're telling your spine, I've got you. Then comes the side plank. This one targets the obliques and the lateral muscles, those that prevent you from collapsing sideways under pressure. In real life, that translates to carrying grocery bags, holding your child on your hip, or bracing yourself as you move through uneven terrain. The side plank doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you anti-fragile. Every second you hold it, you're increasing your spine's ability to resist unwanted motion from side to side, which is where many people get injured when they're off balance or caught off guard. The final movement is the bird dog. You're on all fours, extending one arm and the opposite leg, holding it steady like a sniper's laser. This isn't about lifting high, it's about maintaining balance, alignment, and full body tension. You're wiring your brain and body to coordinate across the diagonal, just like you do when you walk, run, or reach across your body. It's subtle but powerful. Because when you can create tension and stability across the spine, you're building a foundation that protects you in every movement of your day. What's beautiful about these 3 exercises is they don't require a gym. They don't take hours. They take about 10-15 minutes. But when done daily with full presence, tight form, and controlled breathing, they create the kind of spinal endurance that lasts a lifetime. Think of them like brushing your teeth. One day won't change much, but done consistently, they protect you from breakdown, from damage, from decay. The McGill Big 3 aren't a workout trend. They're a daily ritual of self-respect. They say, I value my spine, I respect my body, and I'm taking action today so I don't pay the price tomorrow. So next time you think you need more time or fancier gear to fix your back, remember 3 movements. 1 intention, a lifetime of strength and stability. Your spine isn't just active when you're lifting weights or running sprints. It's working every second of every day. Whether you're sitting, standing, walking, or even lying down, your posture sends a message to your nervous system. We're either building strength or we're breaking down. That's the reality most people ignore. They focus on workouts, stretching, and recovery, yet forget the one thing that consumes the majority of their day, how they hold themselves when they're not training. That's why understanding posture is not about looking elegant or having a straight back for appearances. It's about performance, pain prevention, and long-term resilience. The spine doesn't just need moments of support, it needs a lifestyle of support. Let's start with something you probably do every day. Sit at your desk, in your car, at the dinner table. Now picture yourself working at your laptop. Your neck is craning forward, your shoulders are rolled in, your spine is slumped like a question mark. Now freeze that image. Imagine holding that shape for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, month after month. That posture isn't neutral, it's loaded with strain, and it teaches your body that this is your default setting. Your spine adapts to the shape you hold most often. So when you try to move later, stand up, pick something off the ground, or even breathe deeply, your body is already working from a dysfunctional blueprint. Your hips are locked, your core is disengaged, and your back is screaming for help. This is why posture must be reclaimed, not just as a physical habit, but as a neurological training tool. Dr. McGill emphasizes neutral spine, not because it looks good, but because it's the most efficient, powerful, and protective alignment for your body. It's the position where your spine is the most mechanically strong and the least likely to get injured. It's not perfectly straight, it's naturally curved in 3 dimensions, like a well-engineered bridge. When you respect that alignment, every step becomes an act of reinforcement. Every breath becomes more efficient. Every lift becomes safer. Take walking, for example. Something as simple as walking with awareness can transform your entire back health. Most people walk with poor mechanics, slouched, looking down, disconnected from their core. But if you walk with your spine tall, chest open, chin tucked slightly, and engage your glutes with each step, you're not just burning calories, you're retraining your nervous system. You're teaching it, this is how we move, this is how we stay stable. And the same goes for standing. Whether you're waiting in line, cooking in the kitchen, or giving a presentation, these are opportunities. Opportunities to reset your posture, shoulders down and back, core lightly braced, feet grounded, spine long, not stiff. These aren't just cosmetic fixes, they're strength cues. And over time, they build a spine that knows how to hold itself even when the load increases or life gets chaotic. The key is awareness. Most people don't lack strength, they lack connection. They move through their day in autopilot, unaware that their spine is absorbing tiny insults with every slouch, every bend, every awkward twist. But the moment you become aware, truly aware of how you sit, stand, and walk, you gain power. You take back control of your posture, and with it, you take back control of your performance and your potential. The McGill Method isn't just a set of exercises, it's a way of living in your body with intention. So the next time you sit, don't just sit, align. The next time you walk, don't just walk, own your stride. Because your posture is more than a position, it's your foundation. And when that foundation is strong, everything you do becomes stronger. Imagine driving a high-performance sports car. It's sleek, fast, powerful, but underneath all that speed is a system of finely tuned brakes, suspension, and traction control. Without that system of control, that car becomes dangerous. The same is true for your body. You can be strong, flexible, even athletic. But if you don't have control over your movements, if your muscles don't know when to fire, how to stabilize, and how to protect the spine during action, then all that strength means nothing. This is why motor control, the precise timing and coordination of muscle engagement, is a game changer. It's not just about moving, it's about moving with purpose, with awareness, with built-in protection. And this is exactly what the McGill Method brings to the table. Think about something as simple as reaching down to tie your shoe. Most people bend from the back, let their stomach go slack, round their spine, and rely on habit, not control. It's a tiny moment, done hundreds of times a year, but each one is an opportunity to hurt or to heal. Now imagine doing that same action with proper motor control. You hinge from the hips, brace your core, keep your spine in a neutral position, and stay grounded through your feet. Same movement, entirely different message to the body. The first says, I'm careless. The second says, I've got your back. This isn't about moving slower, it's about moving smarter. With motor control, your body learns to sequence its actions correctly. Your core activates before you lift. Your hips drive the movement instead of your lower back. Your breath synchronizes with your effort. This isn't theory, it's daily mastery. Every lift, every step, every twist becomes an opportunity to reinforce stability, not test it. Let's take an everyday task like carrying groceries. It doesn't seem like a workout, right? But for your spine, it is. If your motor control is poor, you'll lean to one side, shrug your shoulders, and collapse your core, putting uneven pressure on your spine. But if your motor control is dialed in, you brace before you lift, maintain even shoulders, engage your lateral core muscles, and walk with integrity. That's how a chore becomes a training session, not for intensity, but for intelligent movement. What's powerful about motor control is that it's not about brute force, it's about the elegance of efficiency. Think of a gymnast or a martial artist. They move with grace, but underneath that grace is years of neurological training. Muscles that know exactly when to activate and when to relax. A nervous system that communicates like a symphony orchestra, every part in harmony. That's what the McGill Method teaches you. It rewires your system so your spine is never left unprotected. It's not reactive, it's proactive. Even breathing becomes part of motor control. If you breathe shallowly from your chest, your body stays in a stress loop. But when you breathe from the diaphragm, you activate deep core muscles that support your spine. It's subtle, but it's a shift that changes your entire nervous system response. And with repetition, your body starts to memorize this pattern until it becomes second nature. The goal is to move through life, not just workouts, but life itself, with the kind of control that prevents injury before it even has a chance. That's true power. It's not how much you can lift, but how well you can move under pressure. How gracefully you transition from sitting to standing, from walking to sprinting, from resting to reacting. The McGill Method doesn't give you a list of exercises, it gives you a new language of movement. A way to program your body for performance and pain-proofing, starting from the nervous system out. So next time you reach, lift, twist, or simply breathe, ask yourself, did I move with control or just out of habit? Because in the small moments lies the secret to long-term strength. And mastering those moments is where transformation begins. Pain is not the enemy. It's a signal, a guide, a whisper from your body saying, something needs your attention. But most people don't listen. They ignore it, push through it, numb it with painkillers, or drown it in distractions. The result? Temporary relief, long-term damage. What the McGill Method teaches is revolutionary, not because it avoids pain, but because it shows you how to listen to it, interpret it, and respond with intelligence. Pain is not weakness, it's information. And when you learn to read it like a skilled translator, it becomes one of your most powerful tools for healing, resilience, and performance. Think about the last time you felt a sharp twinge in your back, maybe while lifting a laundry basket, getting out of your car, or even just bending over the sink. That instant jolt might have felt random, but it wasn't. Pain doesn't show up without cause. It's a product of accumulated poor mechanics, fatigue and stress, both physical and emotional. The McGill Method teaches you that these warning signs are never isolated, they are patterns. And your job is not to silence them, but to decode them. Picture someone who has had chronic lower back pain for years. They've tried everything, massages, stretching, injections, even surgery, but they never stop to ask the most important question. What am I doing daily that's triggering this pain? That's where awareness begins. Dr. Stuart McGill's approach focuses on identifying your unique pain triggers through a simple but incredibly effective process: provoke, test, eliminate. You move in specific ways, observe what aggravates the pain, and remove those movements while reinforcing the ones that don't. It's not guesswork, it's data-driven recovery. Let's take a daily life example. Say you notice that your back hurts more after sitting for long periods. Instead of resigning yourself to stiffness and suffering, you take a different approach. You analyze your posture. You try a lumbar support cushion. You take movement breaks. You stand up and walk every 30 minutes. You incorporate core activation exercises throughout the day. Over time, that awareness becomes a habit, and that habit reshapes your relationship with pain, from helplessness to control. There's also the emotional layer. Pain can be amplified by stress, fear, and frustration. When people feel pain, they often tense up, breathe shallowly, and catastrophize. What if this never goes away? The McGill Method combats that spiral by giving you a plan, a system, a roadmap. And when you have a roadmap, fear loses its grip. You no longer feel like a victim of pain. You become a partner in your own recovery. This mindset shift is powerful. Instead of asking, how do I get rid of the pain? You start asking, what is this pain teaching me? Maybe it's revealing a movement pattern you need to fix. Maybe it's pointing to a weakness in your core or hips. Maybe it's exposing an over-reliance on one side of your body. Whatever the lesson, pain becomes the professor, not the punishment. And the more you listen, the clearer the message becomes. You'll begin to notice the early signs: a slight ache when you slouch, a stiffness when you skip your morning core routine, a fatigue after poor sleep. These are not setbacks, they're signals. And by responding with smarter choices, better posture, stronger bracing, more movement hygiene, you quiet the signal naturally, without drugs or desperation. The ultimate goal is not to eliminate pain entirely, because life will always come with its bumps, its strains, its unexpected challenges. The goal is to build a body and a mind that knows how to respond when pain knocks on the door. To say, I hear you, I see what needs work, let's fix it. That's the genius of the McGill Method. It doesn't wage war on pain, it turns pain into feedback. And when you master that feedback loop, you gain something more valuable than comfort. You gain control. You become stronger, not because you're pain-free, but because you know what to do when pain shows up. And that confidence, that calm, grounded power, is what truly sets you free. Recovery is often misunderstood. People think of it as something that happens after an injury or only when they're in pain. But recovery, real recovery, the kind that protects your back, rebuilds your resilience, and recharges your nervous system, is an everyday ritual. It's not passive. It's not just lying on a couch or taking a hot bath, though those things help. True recovery is active. It's deliberate. It's about restoring balance to your body, giving your spine what it needs to stay strong, mobile, and pain-free, not just in moments of crisis, but all the time. That's what the McGill Method embraces: a lifestyle of proactive, intelligent recovery that supports long-term strength and stability. Think about the average person. They wake up feeling stiff, maybe groan a little getting out of bed, drag themselves through the morning, sit for hours, rush through their day, and collapse into the evening with a sore back and a stressed mind. Then they wonder why their spine doesn't feel better. It's not because they're broken. It's because they never give their body the space and tools to recover properly. They never build recovery into their routine like they do with meals or work or sleep. Now imagine a different approach, one where recovery is not something you wait for, it's something you create every day. You wake up and go through a brief movement routine, not a workout, but a series of gentle spine-safe mobilizations. You hydrate. You do 5 to 10 minutes of the McGill Big 3 to activate and stabilize your core. You walk. You breathe deeply, with intention, resetting your nervous system before the stress of the day piles on. That's not a luxury, it's smart strategy. Let's say you're a parent lifting your toddler 20 times a day, or you work construction, or you sit at a desk for 10 hours straight. Every one of those demands takes something from your spine. Recovery is how you give something back. Maybe it's a midday walk to decompress your joints. Maybe it's an evening stretch to reverse the postural compression from sitting. Maybe it's simply lying on the floor for 5 minutes in a supported position to let your spine unload. Small actions, done consistently, make a massive difference. And then there's sleep, the most underrated recovery tool in the world. Dr. McGill emphasizes how your sleep posture matters as much as your exercise form. If you sleep twisted like a pretzel or crash onto a soft mattress with no support, your spine is spending 8 hours in dysfunction. But when you support your neck, align your hips, and find a neutral position, your spine finally gets a chance to heal. Your discs rehydrate, your muscles relax, your nervous system repairs itself. It's not magic, it's mechanics. Breathing, too, plays a major role. Shallow, rapid breaths keep your body in fight or flight mode, but deep, diaphragmatic breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode. This not only calms your mind, but also improves core stability and supports spinal alignment. Every exhale becomes a release of tension. Every inhale is a chance to nourish your tissues with oxygen and control. Recovery also means knowing when not to push, when to skip the heavy deadlift in favor of a long walk, when to replace intensity with restoration. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the mindset of someone who understands the long game. Someone who wants their spine to be just as strong at 60 as it was at 30. That's the promise of the McGill Method. It doesn't just help you recover from pain, it teaches you how to stay ahead of it. So don't wait until your back gives out or the pain screams louder than your ambition. Build recovery into your day like a sacred ritual. Move with care, rest with purpose, breathe with awareness, and sleep with alignment. These aren't extras, they're essentials, because a spine that recovers well is a spine that performs well. And in the end, it's not about doing more, it's about recovering smarter, so you can keep showing up, strong, centered, and ready for anything life throws your way. The greatest strength you can develop in your journey toward a pain-free, powerful back isn't physical, it's consistency. You don't need to be a professional athlete, a bodybuilder, or a yoga guru to build a resilient spine. You just need to show up every day with intention. That's the heartbeat of the McGill Method. It's not about extremes, it's about repetition with purpose. Small, strategic actions repeated over time that create massive transformation. Not in a week, not in a month, but steadily, unshakably, for life. Look around and you'll see this truth everywhere. It's the office worker who adds 5 minutes of spine hygiene to their morning and ends up with fewer headaches and zero back pain by the end of the year. It's the parent who carves out 10 minutes before bed to do the McGill Big 3, finding they no longer wake up stiff or in pain. It's the grandparent who walks every morning with posture and purpose, building not just strength, but independence. These aren't miracles. They're the product of showing up, not once in a while, but every day. Let's take a moment to think about brushing your teeth. You don't brush them once and expect them to stay clean forever. You brush every morning and night, even when you're tired, even when you're late, even when it's inconvenient. Why? Because you know the power of accumulated benefit. The McGill Method asks you to treat your spine the same way. Do your spine-saving exercises, maintain good posture, breathe correctly, and move with control, not just when it's easy or when you're motivated, but especially when it's not. That's where the real change happens. Consistency is not about intensity. You don't need to crush yourself with hard workouts every day. In fact, that's where many people go wrong. They go too hard, too fast, burn out, or get injured. The McGill Method is built on sustainable progress. It's about practicing fundamentals so well, so consistently, that they become automatic. That you no longer have to think about bracing your core before lifting a box, or aligning your spine before standing. It becomes who you are. Consider a construction worker, someone who lifts, bends, twists, and moves heavy things daily. If that person learns how to brace their core properly, and does it day in and day out, they're not just preventing injury, they're building a foundation of strength that supports every single movement. not because they did one massive workout, but because they trained smart and they trained consistently, even on your worst days, when you're tired, stressed, or distracted. The beauty of consistency is that it keeps you anchored. Maybe you don't feel like doing the full routine. Fine, do something. One breathing drill, one plank, one 5-minute walk. You're not aiming for perfection. You're aiming for momentum. And momentum over time is what rewires your brain, rebuilds your body, and redefines what you believe is possible. Life will always be chaotic. You'll have setbacks, distractions, and days when everything feels off. But consistency is your anchor. It's what separates those who feel better temporarily from those who build a spine that is durable, dependable, and ready for life's demands. This isn't about motivation, it's about discipline. It's about deciding that your health, your freedom from pain, and your ability to move through life with power and grace are worth showing up for every single day. The McGill Method doesn't require perfection, it requires presence. Show up, move well, breathe well, and do it again tomorrow. Over time, that daily investment compounds into a spine that doesn't just survive, it thrives. And that's the kind of strength that doesn't fade. It's earned, one consistent choice at a time.